All right, guys, welcome back to Small Talk. I want to make a very brief, quick video on Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and how Trump is trying to control Federal Reserve and trying to sideline the Federal Reserve. So, Federal Reserve is an institution which is not federal and it has no reserves. If you have not watched my videos on banking, currency, and finance, please do watch the series of videos that I've posted. And I've explained how Federal Reserve works, how they have $0 in their balance sheet. It's not a government entity. It doesn't report to anybody. It's not, there's no check and balance on Federal Reserve. This institution was created out of limbo just to make all these banks happy. So basically, it's a private institution where there's no constitution, no Congress rules apply. It's above the law, sort of. It's not a government entity, but it does make our monetary policy. Weird, isn't it? Very strange. But unfortunately, we live in a world where all these kind of strange things are happening, and we are actually falling into these traps, and that's why our economies are suffering, and we as taxpayers are suffering as well. If you haven't watched my video, I'm a big opponent of Federal Reserve. In my personal and humble opinion, Federal Reserve should not exist. Central banks should not exist. We should have free economies. We should have open markets, and we should have free financial systems. But we don't run the countries and run the world. Unfortunately, we're not the one who are powerful. These powerful ones make these rules and regulations, and we common men suffer. The founder of Federal Reserve were actually opposed to the Federal Reserve because they knew that this is going to create inequality in the society, which it already exists, but it's going to widen the gap of between the rich and the poor, or rich or the middle class, and it's like going to, and then it's going to cause a chaos at a civil level. So at a societal level, and people are going to resent those who are getting richer on the cost of someone like us. Anyways, recently we have seen that Donald Trump has been openly opposing the federal chairman Jerome Powell, calling him Mr. Too Late, and he has been telling him to cut rates at a faster pace, whereas Jerome Powell has been very resistant and he has been trying to ignore Donald Trump. And I'm sure Donald Trump has been doing it behind the scene as well, which obviously we can't see. And also, he has been trying to decrease the voting members of the Federal Reserve, so that his rate cut can be approved. Mind it, there is going to be, you need 12 members of the Federal Reserve to vote, and 7 of them have to agree to whether cut or not to cut the rate in order for that policy to implement it. So Donald Trump has let go one of the member, I forgot her name, and then he was running after Lisa Cook by accusing her of signing 2 different mortgages as her primary residence, and he said that she needs to be fired and let go, where the federal court had denied the effort. Now the decision is pending at a Supreme Court level. So, and then he added, I think some people call him Maron, whatever you want to call him. I call him Moron, who is Trump's favorite guy, and then he tried to put him in charge to be in the board of directors and a voting member of the Federal Reserve. He was hired on September 16th, and the voting was on September 17th. What a coincidence. And then, of course, the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, announced a 25 basis point rate cuts, whereas Moran was of the opinion that he should do 50 basis point rate cuts. Right now, the interest rates are at 4.5%, and Donald Trump wants to bring it down to 1.5 to 2% level, very, very low. But Jerome Powell is going to bring it down to 3 to 3.25% by the year 2028, which doesn't make Donald Trump very happy. And that's why Moran was of the opinion the Federal Reserve should have cut 50 basis points in September, and then there should be another rate cut in October. So they wanted to expedite the rate cutting process. In my personal opinion, I know Jerome Powell's term ends in May of 2026, which isn't too far away. And in the future, they are going to cut rates anyway, and they're also going to do an quantitative easing when it comes to monetary policy. Their work, and Federal Reserve is going to print money. So whether you like Donald Trump or not, That's of course up to you. Do I like Donald Trump or not? It's obviously my personal likes and dislikes. I'm not going to disclose it in public. But when it comes to Federal Reserve, I am with Donald Trump because I think Federal Reserve, he's right. The Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell is behind. He is slow. And in order for Donald Trump to take control of the economy, I think he needs to hire somebody. I mean, I think Federal Reserve should not even exist. Can you imagine that you are making decisions, monetary policies for our country, and you're not part of the government? Congress has no say. They don't report to anybody. Nobody has control over them. So this is basically trying to make all these private banks richer. They print money, they send inflow of cash into the economy. All these banks have this extra cash. All the rich who run these banks have access to that money first at a very low interest rate or no interest rate. They go ahead and invest that money. Equities go higher, assets go higher. When it comes to common men like you and I, things have already inflated. So we don't get the benefit that we think that we're getting, but the rich keep getting richer and we stay where we are. And with the easing monetary policy, or with the printing money, the fancy name that they give, quantitative easing, we and our children have to pay the price in the form of inflation, because more inflow of money will cause inflation into the economy, and then ultimately a common man will suffer. So in May, I think when Jerome Powell's term ends, he's going to leave the Fed anyway, and Donald Trump is obviously not going to let him stay. I'm sure he has somebody lined up. I know who that is. I just forgot his name anyways. So he has somebody lined up to take place, to replace Jerome Powell, and this someone is going to be whoever is going to please Donald Trump, and rightfully so. And it's very open. It's not a hidden secret or anything. Everybody knows about it. So Donald Trump is trying to kind of take control of the Federal Reserve. Not a bad thing necessarily, but the question arises, is Donald Trump looking out for the betterment and for the strengthening of the economy? That's the debate for a different time, I guess. But I just wanted to get this point across. There are lots of news that are coming up, like, oh, Federal Reserve is losing its independence, Donald Trump is taking over, because people who don't understand economics, who don't understand the role of Federal Reserve, and who don't understand what Federal Reserve and central bank actually are, they, I guess, fear this. But if you understood economics and you knew how the economic system worked and how Federal Reserve and central banks are corrupted, I think you wouldn't be falling for those kind of headlines, and you wouldn't even putting those headlines out there for people to deceive people. These headlines are put up by the banks, obviously, because banks are the ones who get the most benefit out of it, and those people who own those banks, the rich ones, the wealthy ones. So they obviously are going to oppose Donald Trump's decisions when he tried to shove Federal Reserve on one side. So anyways, whether you agree or disagree, I am big opponent of Federal Reserve. I think Federal Reserve Institute should not exist as an institution. Central banks should not exist as an institution. We should have decentralized economy. We should have, free markets. That's how the economy should thrive. And I have also given a business model driven from the Quran and the Prophet, which has been implemented for like thousands of years in the history of humanity, until the modern times when they decided to have fiat currency. And I have made videos on all that. Please check my series of banking, currency, and finance. You'll understand it better, because I have made more detailed videos explaining everything step by step. And that will kind of make more sense why I'm opposing Jerome Powell and why I am favoring Donald Trump and the rate cut. Whether the rate cut is good or bad in the long term or not, that's a separate debate. But at least for the short term, I think we need rate cuts, and I think we need to have larger rate cuts. Maybe not as aggressive as Donald Trump wants, because that will cause lots of inflation in the economy, and we're already trying to overcome the inflation. But I think Donald Trump, being a million, the wealthy guy, I think he's looking out for himself and his friends who are rich as well. But also, Federal Reserve is not doing the job the right way, the way they're supposed to. I mean, first of all, they shouldn't exist, as I said. But now that we are stuck with them, at least they should have some sense of the monetary policy and how to make the economy grow. So that's just my thought. Please give my video thumbs up. Please share your comments in the comment section below and let me know if you understood what I just said. I just wanted to make this video because I was recently reading stuff on Jerome Powell and Federal Reserve and how Trump is trying to take over the decisions of Federal Reserve, and Federal Reserve is losing its independence. And it just kind of made me wonder, do people even understand how the economy is run and what exactly Federal Reserve does? So I decided to make this video. Take care until next one. Goodbye. Please be safe out there and go make some money.